right, everybody. How is everyone doing tonight? It is episode 3 of Talk Turkey to Me, the little mini series that we're doing in Bow Hunting League this spring for the spring turkey contest. My name is Lance DeYoung. I am kind of assisting with hosting this little chat. And I'm joined by a whole bunch of people that are members of different teams for the turkey contest this year. So without further ado, we're going to get straight into it. This week we got Mr. Chris Fight or Feet.
Howdy.
Mr. Cody Mag, and this guy, folks, has things he wants to talk about today.
Just a few
Kyle
things.
Hawk, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
And Mr. Brett Kegley.
What's going on, guys?
How is everybody doing?
Doing
Solid.
good.
There's
Good,
a
I'm
chance
sad
that you
I'm
might
tagged
have
out.
even more jump on as the night goes, but we're in for a blast of a night. If you have not tuned in before, know that we see all of the comments, whether it be Facebook or YouTube, and we are responsive, right? If you want to chime in, if you want to have a conversation with us, please send us your comments, send us your questions. We'll try and hit them as we see them. We'll share them on the screen, kind of go around the discussion a little bit. But we're going to do a couple things tonight. First thing I want to do is we're going to go around the horn. I want to introduce yourself as we go around. Let us know what team you're on, how your season's going so far. And then at some point, Cody had a great suggestion this week, and he said, hey, let's talk about what are the tips and tactics for late season birds. We're mid-May at this point. Some places the birds are starting to get a little bit less responsive to calls, or they're getting decoy shy. Somebody just commented on Facebook, right? Hey, the South is done. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe we just got to try a different tip or trick, right? So we're going to go through all of that and really see what we can come up with. So how about this? Mr. Chris, start us off.
My name's Chris Fight. I'm part of the Spur Daddies. It's I feel like this week and the last week, the last time we talked, the turkeys up here in Minnesota have really turned on. Had a couple close calls a couple times. They're starting just with a bow, can't shoot through brush, so it's getting but very responsive birds. They're not so much, as far as I've seen, decoy shy, but more or less just live birds are a lot nicer than fake birds. So
Awesome. Well, how's your team doing so far this year?
well, we're still hanging out in 5th place. We just had another guy shoot another bird, so we're doing really good. Hopefully we can shoot a couple more and get up there.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for introducing yourself. We're going to head right on over. Mr. Cody Mag, how are you?
Good. I'm from Team Misfits. To say we're struggling is an understatement. We are all everybody was hunting hard, and we had a couple people shoot a few that they haven't been able to find. I screwed up last night and didn't take my bow and killed my biggest bird to date. He had 1 3/8 spurs and 13.5-inch beard. Yeah. And if I had my bow, it would have been a chip shot. But my elbow is also messed up, so it makes it a little tough to shoot with my bow right now.
And how's how many birds did you say your team has gotten?
We have 2 that are entered.
Okay.
I'm part of one of the teams that was through together at the end by whoever didn't get on a team yet. So I can't complain. Everybody's hunting hard. Laura Wood has put in probably more work than anybody else in the team and just can't catch a break.
All right. Well, hopefully some of the tips and tricks we talk about today will encourage guys to stay out there keep grinding and maybe connect yet this season.
Definitely.
All right. Next up is Mr. Kyle Hawk. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. We all know your picture's plastered all over the screen on Bow Hunting League right now, killing birds left and right. So we know how your season's doing. Tell us about the rest of your team.
Hey, our team has done. I'm real proud of our team, man. We're still getting after it. We're still working. He mentioned Minnesota has really turned on this last week. We're seeing birds starting to be loud and moving all over. Matt Thielen for our team killed a double beard this week to bring us down to only 2 members left to kill on our team. And then we also had a member down south that killed a really good upgrade. He killed a single bearded bird. I think it's like 35 points. I'm pretty sure it's the largest scoring single bird of the contest so far.
That is a massive turkey for a single beard bird.
Yep. So we still got guys that are out there grinding, looking for upgrades. 2 guys left to finish out, and we're still sitting in 3rd place, even with our upgrades and another kill. But we're in the hunt, and we're still hungry. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible this year, and we have a captain's chat on Facebook that a lot of people are part of, right? And it's incredible because the opinion has always been if you're on a team that tags out, you're going to win it. And right now, that's potentially not the case, right?
That's the goal.
Right. The Pimps 5.0 are tagged out. Every single person on that team has submitted an archery bird for the 2023 contest. And there's a chance if they're not smacking upgrades that they're not going to take first place. And it's incredible how large this has grown in the pursuit of turkeys and everything else league wide. And it's really exciting to see, what's happening within our group, within the Bow Hunting League.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, let's bring on our final guest for introduction, Mr. Brett Kegley.
How's it going?
Doing well.
Yeah, it's been kind of slow here in Kentucky. We're done. Ours went out Sunday, but I was able to tag a bird Sunday before last. First 2 weeks, birds wasn't responding, wasn't coming to decoys, passing hens in the field, not even looking at them, giving them a second look, not even caring, like we done missed. It was too late or something, which it got warm here early, greened up here early, so it made it a little bit hard. I was able to tag one Sunday before last, and I could have tagged out Sunday, but I took a 14-year-old boy and caught in his first bird. So he got it with his crossbow. His bow's in the shop getting some stuff done, or he would probably took it with his bow. But I was more tickled for him. I could have tagged, even though it sucked for the team kind of. But I think we're in about 6th or 7th, 8th spot or something. Maybe it might have pushed us up a spot or so, but most of the members still got some time left, and hopefully we can get a couple more birds on the ground and make a little move. I like to see top 5. I'd be happy with top 5, but if not, it's still been a pretty good season. Better than last year. Last year sucked pretty much. Couldn't get on the bird. They wouldn't work. They wouldn't play the game. And I use a 3/4 strut Jake DSD breeding hen, and usually a feeding hen. And I wish I'd filmed the boys' bird on, because as soon as it come in and seen that decoy, it run, looked like a derby horse running in there to whoop on it. And same thing with mine. Once it seen it, it was all over. It snuck in. It just beat the far out of it. That's the best money I've ever spent. I swear it is. I wish I'd bought one of them 4 or 5 years ago. It's really changed. It's helped me. It might not help everybody else, but it's been a game changer here. But I heard, I went and got my blind a while ago after work, and started taking blinds down different properties and stuff, trying to get stuff done before they run cattle in them and stuff like that. And as soon as I got up to the other property, it's my honey hole, and it just didn't produce well this year. And there was a bird gobbling up there this evening right after work. So I figured it's probably laughing, rubbing salt in the wound, but it is what it is.
Well, on that note, I want to show this comment quick. We'll start fielding some of the questions and going over the comments. And one user said, and they clarified in a later comment, that they're in Pennsylvania, but it says that birds in my neck of the woods are just not coming into decoys. They're vocal. We just can't get them in.
Use that Jake.
What?
That Jake, I'll tell you something about that Jake. I've used them. I used hen only here because I figured it was late season, that maybe just the hen would work. They was tired of fighting, and they'd been, been breeding probably since March. And I had them hung up. I actually missed a bird on camera. I posted, hit a limb sitting on the ground, and but it took forever for them birds to work in. I had to draw. I got fatigued sitting down, I'm not gonna lie. And then I had to pin on the bird, but I had a limb in front of me, some tops of a tree where I was tucked in, and it just hit it. But if I took that Jake, man, I'd probably had a little bit more time to get it done. But it happens.
Absolutely.
That's what I was going to touch on.
Yeah, go ahead, Cody. Give us more input.
This week this is the last week of Indiana's season, and it's honestly, at times I'd rather hunt this week than early season, due to the fact of, like I killed my bird yesterday, that you find them in a field in the evening where they got a couple hens with them, and I got the Reaper out, and as soon as he seen that Reaper, he gobbled, and within 2 or 3 minutes he was laying on the ground dead. Just because it's like,
yeah,
he had his couple hens.
That's awesome.
And he's like, that somebody ain't moving in. I've been like, he was saying there is, yeah, they might have been fighting all year, but it's getting towards the end of their breeding season. So they're going to go and get feisty and say, hey, you're not taking these couple hens I have. And it's a game changer.
Right. Yeah. Another Facebook user said, I like to have a Jake in a breeding posture with a hen and another feeding head off to the side. So 2 hens and a Jake and make it a fight moment, right?
Daily combination.
Yeah, I honestly have had my best luck just running strictly my strutter, because it's like, it's one of those things. If, hey, this other gobbler's in here, he's going to come and push me off my few hens that I know I have secured, and they don't like it.
I give my full strutter away. They act like they scared to death of it here. Hell, they'd come here, they'd see it, and they'd go the other way. I ain't never had no luck with a full strutter.
Now here, early season here, they hate it. They'll run the opposite direction every time.
I give mine to my buddy. I just give it away. I never did have no luck out of the last couple of years, and I've been wanting one of them Jakes, and they're so daggone expensive, man. I've wanted one for 2 years, and I finally broke down and bought one 2 weeks in the season, and every time I put it out, if a bird can see it, it's on. I don't know, it tears them all to pieces. I can't handle it.
That DSD breeding pair is the deadliest combo I've ever used. I have killed every turkey I've ever killed has been over a DSD breeding pair.
And is that just a Jake and a hen?
Yeah, it's a Jake and a 3/4 strut, and then it's a little post right on top of a breeding hen, like laying on the ground. And man, whether you move it or not, as soon as that bird sees it, he is gonna come in fast.
I probably called that one in Sunday for that boy. I bet I called that thing in. It might not have been a half mile, but I say it was pretty daggone close. I mean, it was freaking. I figured ain't no way, and it was 10 o'clock in the morning before it finally showed up. And as soon as it seen it, it was a full run to jump on it. But I had 2 other birds closer, but they probably had hens and probably was henned up and wouldn't commit. And this bird come for at probably an hour. And I couldn't believe it even come that far, to be honest with you. But you never know. It was last day of season, so we throw the stink at them. I mean, you ain't got no choice. So,
well, Kyle, what about you? What you're quiet down there? What else do you think? Give us some opinions.
Man, I don't know if I've ever really dealt with
We might have lost Kyle. It appears we lost Kyle. Oh, maybe not. Kyle, you're back.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened there. I was just saying I don't deal with late season birds as much up north, just because, you know, they come.
Nope, we're gonna lose Kyle again here, aren't we? We'll come back to that. I do want to touch on one other thing. I want to ask you guys' opinion. A lot of you guys are talking about 3/4 strut or reaper decoys and stuff like that. What's y'all's opinion on homemade decoys with fans off birds that you've harvested in the past? And what suggestion do you have? We've got a lot of people in the league, right, that are balling on a budget when it comes to turkey hunting. A lot of people are heavily invested in the deer side of things. They do the turkey contest in the spring just to be active out in the woods. You know, it's the camaraderie of it. So if they're not going out to invest in, expensive decoy pairs and stuff like that, what would you recommend to them for this time of year?
Man, I've used $13 Gander Mountain decoy, and it looks like a 5-year-old colored a turkey on a piece of paper. It is just the ugliest decoy. I mean, they did a real good job, and it works just as good. I mean, I'm not quite sure in Minnesota if we can actually use a real fan. I'm not quite sure on that. I've never done that. I personally have never had luck with a strutter. Every strutter I've ever used, like full strut, the birds they get beat up by jigs too much. So
right.
But I mean, you could use a plastic bag. Honestly, I think it's just about hauling when it comes down to the decoys.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, one of the most popular decoys I've seen out there is the funky chicken.
Yep.
Right. And that is one ugly decoy.
Yeah.
I have one, but I ain't never had no luck out of it. But I bought one.
Say just like
Cody,
I have mine right here. And
looks like Cody's ready for a little show and tell.
I do.
So
I bought this.
Give it to us, bud.
I bought this decoy right here on sale. I think $30. It's the B Mobile. It's one of their older ones. And I literally just got my fan from a past year and put it together. And as soon as it's cheap, I think total in this whole setup, I got $35 total in it. And all the time, if they're looking for them, go to your smaller mom and pop shops. Look at the boxes that have dust on them. This box, the guy told me he's probably had it for 5 years and nobody ever bought it. And I bought it for $30, and it's been my go-to favorite decoy that I have. And just like Chris was saying, you can see the bottom of this thing is all funky, and they don't care. They see the fan and the white head, and they know what it is. They're coming.
Give me 1 second, guys. So that decoy, you got a custom fan, right?
Yeah, I actually just put this fan completely together. I think on Wednesday is when I did it.
Now I want to ask you a question, and maybe the rest of you guys can give an opinion on it. Right? Is if you had just the fan on a stake, would that work?
It works.
It works for sure.
Yep.
Especially like in an open field, I would say not as much. But if you're in a little bit thicker in the woods, a fan alone will do it just as good.
Well, shoot, you ever seen Michael Waddell's videos? He just puts a hat up in the air and wags it around. Turkey sees that. I mean,
yeah, but that man knows how to sound like the most seductive hen out there.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, when you can talk dirty to him.
Yeah,
I think.
But like that, I was worried about like on my fan here, that whitish bluish, the Bondo. And I was worried about that I talked to a few other guys, and they're like, "Don't worry about it. That bird does not care. He sees the big picture, not just a little speck." And I was like, "Okay, that makes sense, and let's try it." And the first year I called my first solo bird in with this, and it was a big double beard, and I was like, "Okay, I'm hooked."
For sure. No, I mean, and don't get me wrong, guys. I love that we're having this discussion stuff. I wanted a quick story. My favorite hunt for turkeys of all time. I was down in Oklahoma hunting Rios with two of my best friends, and the only reason we got the bird in, we had a fan like that out on a decoy like you have, and the only reason that we got that bird to come in is because my buddy belly crawled out into the wheat field with the birds hung up on the other end of the field, grabbed the fan, and crawled away from that tom. And just every time the tom would zig, he would zag, right? They'd flip the fans opposite, and he would slowly work away. And boy, was that tom just ticked off at that he was being disrespected in front of his girls on his field. And he broke from those hens and came sprinting in. And I shot that bird probably about 5 yards away from him trying to open up a can of whoop ass in the morning on my buddy holding the decoy. And I shot him, and he stood up with the fan in his hands. He goes, "I figured it was going to get Western here real quick."
Well, last night when I killed my bird, I was actually laying behind my decoy, and I had my phone in front of me because customer kept trying to call me, and I didn't want it in my pocket. And to get the tom's attention, I actually stood up, because where I was hunting, I was on top of a hill and he was down below, and I actually stood up behind the decoy to get it up higher. And that's when he seen it, and I kind of dropped back down, and I had to do it one more time. And when I did it the second time, he came right up the hill strutting fast, and I was afraid if I waited to get Western.
And I say all that, right? And there's two stories, and I'm sure the rest of you guys have had similar experiences with really aggressive toms. Sometimes it takes that bold, like, this is so off the wall, it just might work, right? Like, have yourself a hold my beer moment out in the turkey woods, right?
For sure.
Especially late in the year. Make it happen for your team.
Yeah, this is actually my third bird I've reaped, and the first one I ever reaped is I killed him. I shot him as he was coming off the ground to spur the reaper. And he flipped over right there. The guy that I was hunting with goes, "That's the closest I ever had one," because we had 3 toms out there that were all running, and I couldn't squeeze the trigger because all 3 heads were lined up for too long.
That's awesome. Who else has a crazy story?
I can tell you about the fan one. So, you're talking about whether or not you need a decoy or just the fan. My oldest boy last year, we were in South Dakota, went out there for a quick weekend trip, just a Saturday, Sunday. And Sunday morning, I went in basically just to retrieve my ground blind to pull it out of this property that I had permission on. And I took my son, set him down on the fence, kind of facing out into a big open pasture. And all I did was I took the fan that I carry with me sometimes. I literally stuck it on top of it's like a 4-foot tall piece of snow fence. Sat my son behind the snow fence and just put the fan on top of the snow fence. I mean, this thing is 4 feet up in the air off of a real short grass field. I wasn't 3 minutes on the other side of the river, hadn't even got to my blind yet, and I heard a gunshot. And, the dad thing, I thought worst case scenario, I thought something had happened with my boy because it happened so fast. Mm-hmm. And I ran back across the river, and here's my 11-year-old standing on top of a bird flopping in the field. And then, that bird had come out of some cedar trees kind of behind us and came across the field, and he said he got 50 yards out in front of him and turned and saw that fan, and my son is not calling at all. I'm not calling. Just saw that fan and ran straight into him and came into full strut at 15 yards, and my son blasted him. And this wasn't a 2-year-old bird. This is a Merriam that had 1 3/8 spurs. So this is a 3+-year-old bird. And all he needed was that visual cue.
Now, you just brought up a great point, and I'm going to pivot a little bit off of the decoying and tips and stuff like that. You talked about this isn't a 2.5-year-old bird, right? Now, we get into aging quite a bit in the league when the antlers come up on the page, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to shoot that big, mature buck and all that. How do you know it's a big, mature tom? What are you looking at? Are you looking for that beard? Are you looking for, the full fan? Or are you simply spur hunting? Or,
You can pretty much look online, and they're only going to say the best way to judge a mature bird is only spurs. The beards vary so much, and even the spurs. You can technically cut down the spurs and do a cross-section analysis, and it gets real complicated. You can know if it's a Jake, a 2-year-old bird based on the species of bird. You got a general idea of what range his spur length should be, and then a 3-plus-year-old bird after that, it gets into a very non-scientific. You're just kind of guessing. You will really only know those 3 categories.
Who else? Somebody else give me an opinion or a thought.
I honestly have never really just judged them. I've basically just judged them off of points. You got spurs, you're going to make a good beard, and that's going to be it. I mean, obviously, there are some super jakes out there where you could definitely tell. And I mean, I listen to their gobbles too. It kind of sounds like a pubescent boy cracking his voice. Or, you got that big guttural like roll of the gobble. That's kind of how I judge them, I guess. I don't know. I've never really got into the age of turkeys.
Right. We can judge them all day. They taste the same in butter and oil, right?
Yes, sir. Turkey nuggets in the fryer.
That's right. I've got a buddy that his favorite recipe is turkey streusel, and it is so good. All right. Well, just looking at some of the comments, one Facebook user says, "Kyle, help a teammate out. Put me on a turkey, brother."
Shoot, he's leading me in King of Spurs. I'm not sure what he's complaining about.
Who do you know who it is? I can't see the name on my screen.
That's Grandpa Teal, I'm sure.
Yes, there are some people out there that are having an absolute heck of a year.
And he is a killer, and he's killed, I think, the same as me. He's killed 3 birds, but he's killed 3 really studly birds that have really big spurs. I've been I kill mostly Merriam, so it kind of puts me at a handicap usually on the spur length.
Yeah, that's I've got Easterns, I've got Rios, Merriams, and Osceola are the 2 left for me. So I know nothing about those Northwest birds. One person says it's hard to reap with a bow sometimes. Now, for those that it's legal to reap turkeys, what tips or tricks do you have for reaping a turkey with a bow?
My opinion would be, if you got your bow and you got any woods around, is kind of stay in the timber a little bit. Like my teammate that killed the big double beard in Ohio, he explained it really well. Mitch did, that he goes and will set his reaper up next to a tree, and if you right-handed shooter, set it on the left side of the tree, and leave yourself a 4 or 6 inch gap between the tree and the reaper, and you can draw back, and you got that little window, and they won't quite see you. Or like my instance last night, I was on top of a hill, and he was coming up the hill, so I would have been able to draw back and sitting right behind the decoy. Oh, there it goes. But I would honestly just take your chances. That's what everybody's in here is, to have fun. So if you mess up, you learn from it, and go and try again. But if you got a bird that comes into that reaper once and you mess up, I would not be afraid to go around to the other side where he'll see you from a different direction and try it again.
That's great advice. Chris, you're nodding your head. What do you think on this one?
You know, I've never used a reaper before, so I don't have much input on that. But I mean, I definitely agree. Try and try again.
Have you ever been in a situation where you had to use decoys as cover for bow hunting turkeys?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Definitely with like the only time I've ever been successful was a bunch of jakes, and it got a little western when they come up and all of a sudden they're like pecking at your decoy. You stand up and they still trying to decoy. But that other than that, no. I mean, I haven't really used it. I mean, one time I had 3 jakes come in. That's about it, but it was pretty cool.
All right. Barrett, what about you? What do you have to say?
Well, I'm gonna have an unpopular probably saying I ain't never reaped one, probably never will. I don't know. Is it cheating? Probably not. My thing is I'd say get them close. I want them close. I want them to come in and play the game. If they ain't willing to play the game, I'm not going to go to them. I might move and try to set up somewhere different, but I've never used a fan, honestly, myself. Never tried to reap one. I got the one that goes on the stabilizer to the turkey. I got the turkey fan like the umbrella, but I ain't never used one. Honestly, I don't. For me, it kind of takes the fun out of it. I'd assume call them in. I want to come in, and then that's just my opinion. I don't know. I know some states was going to try to make it, where you couldn't reap it. I think Kentucky was talking about one time. So I don't know. It's just kind of, to me, it wouldn't be as fun just going in the field and just walking a bird down, to be honest. I mean, my opinion, I ain't killed that many birds. I've probably been like serious bow hunting turkeys for last 3 or 4 years now. So I'm still kind of green. But to me, it just, I don't know. I'm nothing against people who do it. They just, I don't, I'd assume I want them to come in. I want to just get that build up. To me, I'd rather do that instead of just trying to walk one down. I don't know. I don't know if it's really cheating, but I know some people that's what they, kind of, it's the easy way to doing it. So I'll probably have some comments in there. Probably won't agree, but it is what it is. That's just my opinion.
I honestly, I have to agree with you on that some, because I personally, I'd rather sit in a blind or on the edge of the woods or field and call them in, like get that anticipation build up. But like where I killed my bird, I hunt on the opposite side of the block that we're in, and right in the middle where they hang out in the middle of the day, nobody can turkey hunt it at all. And to go back to yesterday, I actually got permission for that field 20 minutes before I killed my bird, because I've watched him out there for over a week and a half, and I knew which bird it was by being in the blind, and that bird gobbles his freaking head off constantly. And the anticipation build, it's one of those things with my bird. Like the reason I decided to reap him too is I have history from the last, I'm going to say year and a half, 2 years with that bird, because he roosts in the same spot every spring. And he's one that he will gobble his head off on roost when they're actually talking. But personally, I'd rather try to hunt them and call them in. But the Reaper is a blast. If you do get a chance to try it, I'd recommend it, because when you see them come running in, it really gets that adrenaline flowing. Because if you don't make that shot or do it fast enough, you're probably going to get spurs right in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's my thing, right? I'm up in Michigan. Reaping is not legal in this state. You're not allowed to hold the decoy or anything like that. But it is most definitely something that I would want to try if I ever hunted a state where it was legal, right?
Come into Indiana and you can play.
Yeah, and one commenter said most guys that reap use a shotgun that I have seen. And I think that's kind of the joy of it, right? I love hunting here in Michigan. We've got some massive turkeys. and I'm fortunate enough to have a family farm that is pretty covered up in birds. So my dad and I, it's our tradition every year. Michigan, we always draw a tag, which makes it that much harder because I only get 7 days to hunt. My tag is only valid 7 days, and I'm not allowed to purchase a tag for a different season if I'm not successful. So, we are heavily involved in run and gun all over the farm and stuff like that. But if I got a chance to head down to Indiana or Oklahoma or, one of the states that would allow it, I think I'd want to try and reap one with a bow.
I'd say it'd be hard. It'd be definitely, if I was going to, I'd probably want somebody there, probably run, to have a little extra help because you have so much going on with the fan trying to hold your bow, crawl. It'd be a lot of confusion to me. Personally, it wouldn't me. I don't know. It'd be act like it's kind of be harder. It maybe be harder than the way I hunt. I'd just set up. I will use a blind some, but I got a leaf suit on. I'd soon just tuck in somewhere thick. I hunt mountain birds mostly. Had a buddy come down from Indiana 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Flatlanders, what I call him. And when we went up, my mama's got 37 acres, and he was at the bottom hill, and he looked up. Well, we had to go up. He was already contemplating. And I told him, I said, these mountain birds are different. These flat, we ain't got no ag fields and stuff like that. I got kill plots and stuff, but it's mostly, hardwoods and pretty rough terrain sometimes.
Yeah.
I ain't never been to Michigan. I'd like to go. I've been thinking about coming up, traveling a couple different states, but man, everything's so daggone expensive anymore. Just with anything, everything's expensive. But I'd like to go try, and I think I'm gonna come up in July, I think, or June or July, when they're having that mobile hunting expo up there at Kalamazoo. I think I'm gonna try to come up for it. And but I've never been to Michigan or nowhere like north much up that way, or the Black Hills or anything like that, South Dakota. Or I go to work. That's about it. Work and come home.
I'll tell you what.
Fucking expensive. I live a mile from where Ohio, Indiana, Michigan meet, and I buy my license for all 3 states a year, and expensive is an understatement.
Yeah. With you fuel, travel, and even if you stayed in the slept in truck or, camping sites, even the time you buy your fuel, tags and license and food, you're looking some money. But I mean, it's just anything you do is going to cost you money, any hobby. I mean, so.
But that's why the bow hunting league's so great too, is quite a few good friends I've made that give me more opportunities to go hunt other states, and to where otherwise I'd have to pay an outfitter or something. It's like, that's freaking awesome, because like I told the Zinger guys, they only live an hour from me here. And I told them, you guys want to hunt Indiana, come on over. And like the Kalamazoo there, where the Mobile Hunter Expo, that's only an hour north of here. So I was like, well, hell, I might be able to line some more stuff up. And where I got 5 farms here in Indiana, it's like, anybody wants to come kill one, holler.
That's right. I want to also, that's when I want to go to Florida, and I'm determined to get one. And if I had to trade a daggone whitetail hunt for one, I will go to Florida to hunt a bird. Might not be next spring, but it'd be the next spring or two. I got friends in Florida, some, and down that I could probably, find a place and stuff. But I was thinking, if I have to trade a whitetail hunt, I don't even care if it's a velvet hunt here, that I will be wanting to go to Florida to hunt a bird for sure.
That's a great way to do it, is trading hunts. And there's plenty of members that are willing to do that. And that's how I got my Osceola hunt. I traded a guy that came up and hunted and killed sandhill cranes with me in Saskatchewan. And in turn, me and one of my buddies got to kill Osceolas in Florida.
Heck yeah, they say they're hard. They're hard. It's hard to hunt them down there, but
that's what they say. But my hunt was I got there Friday night, and Saturday morning, the biggest tom came out the roost, landed 200 yards from my decoy, and walked straight into my decoy. And it was over before my buddy from Tennessee even got there Saturday morning.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hunting Tennessee. How many birds can they kill in Tennessee? 3?
2. It went down to 2.
Okay, it used to be 3, or maybe it's $2. I'm thinking. I think you can kill 2 bucks. I can't shoot. It's
I
crazy.
want to say something about the reaping though. I'll probably go on the opposite end of the spectrum and say that is without a doubt my favorite way to turkey hunt. I think I have zero patience. I got ADHD. I can't sit in a blind, so I got to be moving. I got to be running and gunning. And reaping is super exhilarating. It's legal everywhere I do it, and so I don't have any problem doing anything that's legal. Some people might say it's unethical, whatever. Probably the same people that say you're not supposed to shoot ducks on the water, but I do because they taste the same in the crock pot.
I love it.
So, the only thing I will say is that whatever you decide to use for a reaping setup, whether it's a bow mounted setup, I've seen guys that have bow hunted with, full decoys on a stake that they'll, just kind of scoot out in front of them. You got the Mojo shoot and scoot that you can kind of stab into the ground as you go. Whatever way you're going to do it, and I've done it multiple ways, both with bow mounted as well as moving stuff in front of me as I belly crawl through the field. You got to really practice that. You got to practice, being on your belly and like rolling over to your side and drawing and shooting. You got to know how to draw from your knees in a crouched position. You got to practice that. It's never going to work out when you're in, the right situation where you want to. It helps when you're Justin Miller and you're only like 4.5 feet tall, versus me, where I'm over 6 feet tall. It's a little harder, but practice is key in that type of thing. Being able to draw your bow in different situations and to know where your bow shoots. If you end up shooting a bird at 4 yards, you very well could put your 20-yard pin on him and you could miss him by 6 or 7 inches.
Absolutely. Yeah. You said that. Yeah. I've been thinking about this whole me wanting to do the reaping hunt, and I am over 6'6" and I am over 300 pounds. I would probably look like a daggum black bear carrying a turkey around.
Just carry around a hay bale.
So we're gonna have to figure something out before
we actually had 3 guys behind one reaper, kind of crouched over, walking through the field the other year, and they didn't care. Each one of us were about, I'm 5'10", and the other 2 guys are over 6 foot, and we're all about 250 pounds. And that turkey didn't care, not one bit.
Well, there's hope for me yet, then.
Yep, most definitely.
Yeah, I just got into
Go ahead.
like the whole not reaping, but the spot and stock of the turkey, and I gotta say I agree. It is exhilarating outside of the blind. When you're outside of the blind, and I mean, in Minnesota, I'm not really hunting too many green fields where I'm at because, just be honest, there really isn't any. There's more swamp than there's green field. But when you're in the woods and you're just like literally using every tree, branch, and twig crawling on your belly, trying to make sure you're not caught, that is a blast.
Yeah. It just thinking about it, man, got me fired up for next year already. I say that half y'all are just getting into the swing of things this season, and my 7 days in Michigan are up and over. So
Lance,
You got
Indiana
Minnesota
goes
yet?
till Sunday.
Ethan, I can't hear.
yeah, unfortunately I coach my daughter's little league softball team. We got a game on Saturday, and we leave for Minnesota on next Wednesday. So. But how about here's one commenter I want to pull this out, the dedication to the sport, and then Mike, I want to get to you and have a team update, but we're going to do this comment first. This person says, I've got $4,000 into my Wyoming Merriam's hunt between airfare, rental car, and outfitter costs. It's crazy, and that's the price that we pay, right, guys? I mean, we're chasing a dream, we're following a passion, and there's some people that do it on a DIY budget, which is why we talked about, build your own decoy, modify a decoy, just get a fan or whatever. And then there's some people that are able to go out and really chase the dream, right? Wyoming is a bucket list spot for a lot of people for Merriam's and stuff like that. Same thing, South Dakota. Out where Kyle, I believe you hunt quite a bit in South Dakota, right?
No, there's no birds in South Dakota. Just go to Wyoming.
There we go. No, you heard it here first, folks. South Dakota's fresh out.
South Dakota sucks.
South Dakota's a great spot to hunt. You got a lot of different county units. You got a Black Hills unit, and then kind of a less utilized resource. I mean, you got 7 different Indian reservations that are all different tags as well. So there's a lot of different opportunities that South Dakota can afford you, from prairie easterns to, mountain Merriams, and then hybrids. We also have a small Rio population as well. So you can actually harvest 3 different species plus hybrids in South Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy opportunity right there. And like you said, it's unique. There's a lot of people don't understand or don't even bother trying to learn how to navigate the opportunities of applying for or requesting reservation tags. And a lot of tribes do allow people to come on and hunt. You just got to put in the work and know the regulations.
Yep. And I will say here, anybody that's on here, I'm more than happy to help people figure out, the South Dakota system and how to hunt there. And I do have some contacts as far as some of the reservations. You are required to use the guide, but they're usually real reasonable, a couple $100 a day. And most guides will put you on a bird inside of the first morning. But public land too. I mean, I'm an open book. It's all public land. I like to share with people. I love South Dakota, and I want other people to be able to enjoy it as well.
Yeah, and I mean, for those that are watching this, there are some amazing resources, and the guys that are willing to take the time to come on here and share these tips and tricks. And I know several of these guys from different chats and groups that I'm part of because of Bow Hunting League. Don't ever be afraid to ask for advice. We are all passionate individuals that love the sport of bow hunting and want it to grow and want you guys to be successful. And that's why we do these chats, right? This is our 3rd episode of Talk Turkey to Me. This is our 3rd time giving different tips, tricks, and tactics to try and help with success out in the turkey woods. And I'm having a blast, right? This was just something that we decided on a whim. Hey, let's do a weekly, video podcast to all of the members in our group and help ignite that passion in the outdoors. And hopefully by the time we wrap this up at the end of May, we'll have people in the chat saying, hey, I did what you guys suggested over the week and I got a bird. That would be so rewarding. And I want to say, you talk about Grandpa Teal. He came on here earlier and he said, guys, thanks for taking the time out of your evening to get on here and do this chat. I can't say that enough to all of you guys as well, right? Some of you guys are captains. Some of you guys are team members that your captains asked you to come on. But either way, this is, a sacrifice of time and all of that. So, from myself and from everybody else that helps with the league, thank you guys for being on this show. But before we leave, we got one more joiner, and that's Mr. Mike Condon. So give us an update. How's your team doing, sir?
Everything's finally starting to look better. Teammate Brian was able to put a decent bird down. His first with a bow, so that was even more exciting. I feel like for the team, because a lot of the guys were cheering him on for that. It was even better when he's like, "Oh, I heard something in the chat," and then a little bit later, "Oh, I see him coming across. I see him across the field, or I see him in the woods." And then the next thing you know, picks to come. It's like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome!" And another guy, Lance, we have on the team. It's like, "Yeah, I'm hearing him. Just they're just not coming in and whatnot." And so, but and also Damien, our teammate Damien and John, also out there doing what they can, and they're just either the birds ain't cooperating or they're just not talking, and they're out there trying. They're doing what they can, and some are trying with the blind, some are not trying with the blind, but they're just doing what they can, trying to get it done, and hopefully this coming weekend, we can get some more on the board. And tonight I actually wasn't supposed to be on as Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is the last week of archery league with me and my boy, my oldest boy. He's 7. They canceled it for rain and thunder and lightning. So, and my teammate Lance was gonna hop on, and he had some family emergency come up, and he's like, "Hey, I can't make it. Sorry, man." I'm like, "Oh, no worries. I'm actually just finishing up supper, so I'll hop on." But yeah,
Awesome.
no, things look like they should take a upswing here. It's birds are apparently starting to talk a little bit better, so it's should go well. Hopefully this weekend for a couple of the guys.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we talked about it a little bit, right? It's incredible how much the North is finally just lighting up.
Right.
It felt like this spring has dragged itself out so far, with cold temperatures and a bunch of other factors. We had late spring snows from northern Missouri and Iowa all the way up through Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, all of that. It kept the birds really tamped down. So it's exciting to see. There seems to be a new wave of birds that have been coming over the past few days. And there's some states that are still just opening up, right? Michigan's general season, the non-draw season, just opened up this past Monday. So guys are finally out in my home state here, chasing big Michigan Easterns. And I know that there's some other states as well that I think just recently opened up. Maine opened up a week ago. So I know there's some guys up there chasing birds. So, there's still plenty of season left. There's still plenty of time to get out there. And we've said it for the last 2 weeks. I'll say it again. Whatever you're doing, don't give up.
Yep, 100%.
Don't put the gear away. Don't think that it's over. Stick with it.
100%. And I overheard the conversations about reaping. I'm kind of with you, Lance. It's like I would love to do it. I would really love to do it, and I don't know when I would have the time to do it, but I think it's in the cards someday, and hopefully near future.
Absolutely. Well, what do we got? What do we have for parting thoughts? Right, we're 54 minutes into this week's chat. Kyle, I'm going to start with you. What's your one piece of advice going into this week that you'd give hunters that are out trying to get it done?
I think you just gotta keep at it. If you guys have been, if you've been kind of grinding your whole season and it's just not putting it together, this time of year, especially, you get some rainstorms, you get, some cloudy days. You think you tend to let yourself down. I've been doing it myself, where it's like, I don't know if it's going to be worth my time to go out. I'll probably just not go out. Well, man, you definitely 100%. You can't kill a bird sitting on your couch. Making sure you get out there and get after it, and just keep after it. And eventually the things are going to happen. I mean, you might be doing everything right. It's just that bird on that particular day is not responding. You could do the same thing 5 days in a row, and the 5th day that bird might be receptive and come into the exact same thing you've been doing. So you just got to keep at it.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. Chris, what's your parting thoughts and advice?
Well, I mean, up here in Minnesota, we're getting down to the last couple weeks of season. We end on the 31st. And it's hard when you first watch, because all them southern states open up so early and you get the itch and you run out in the woods. And like you said, up here, we got the snow and it just kills the birds right away. But I really am excited for this last, couple weeks of season, because this is when, at least I've had my best luck. And the birds are just firing up, and they just keep trying. gotta keep consistent. I mean, I haven't killed a bird yet, but I tell you what, it's gonna happen. You're gonna see my name come across that Facebook page with a big old bird.
There you go. That's that. What do they call that? The Mamba mentality. Just out to win it, man.
Yeah, amen.
All right, Cody. What about you?
All I gotta say is keep grinding and don't give up. Try something new. If you haven't had any luck this year, take a shot on trying something completely new, off the wall. You never know what might work. Like I heard somebody comment earlier, hell, sometimes you think a brown paper bag out there will bring a certain turkey in. And just like sometimes we get in a rut deer hunting, try something new. You never know how you're going to get lucky. And just like you said, Michigan's general season opened up. I'm hoping to get up there next week. My buddy's coming home from work for a week, so I told him, I said, I'll just wait to buy my license for then. And I hope they don't quiet down because they've really fired up in the last week here, but never know.
Absolutely. All right. Mr. Barrett, how about you? Parting advice.
Patience. That's about all you can do. Just grind it out. Just keep trying. I know it was slow here the first couple of weeks, and it's easy to get discouraged. You know, if the birds ain't talking, responding to calls, decoys, stuff, just keep grinding it out. That's all you can do. It pretty much sucked the first 2 weeks, and it's usually hot. I mean, it's usually ready. They're hot and ready, but it wasn't this season where I'm at. Other parts of the state that people said they had the best year, but I live on the eastern part of Kentucky, but it's just like it's slow starter, or they just like almost like it was done before it had even begun. But this they at it like, and I killed. I hunted here right at the house. I'm talking 150 yards from my back porch, and I never turkey hunt here. I see turkeys every once in a while, and usually my honey holes, you know, you can guarantee you're going to see a bird or get a shot at one. Just didn't produce this year. This wasn't just odd. It was just an odd season. Ended up killing 2 birds here at my house. I mean, 150 yards on my back porch, out the back doors. So it's maybe I ought to start hunting her more. Maybe, I don't know. That's all you can do. Just keep at it. You get wore down. I was glad to kind of see it, man, because I was freaking getting up at 4 o'clock. I was luckily they put us back on 410s, but I was off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so I had an extra day to hunt. But I'd get up at 4 o'clock. I'd from cook dinner and then work. Go in the woods and then early about 6:30 and stay to 11, 12 o'clock and then eat and then go back in about 2 or 3 and sit to dark, and it makes it rough, especially if you're not hearing anything or seeing anything. It's hard hunting. And I freaking hate deer hunting turkeys, and that's what it basically is. You're just hoping for one to come in, and it just makes it hard. Just got to grind out, have patience, and just sit back and
Awesome advice.
Anybody up there at Maine that can't kill a bird, I don't know what they're doing wrong, because we was up there 2 years ago in the fall bear hunting, and I ain't never seen so many freaking turkeys in my life everywhere. In the campground, out like where we stayed at, it was, I think, Sebago, I think Maine, we was up on a bear hunt, and they was freaking turkeys everywhere. So if a man can't kill one up there, there's something wrong.
All right, and Mike, wrap us up with your advice for this upcoming week.
Well, I think Barrett said it the best. Deer hunting turkeys, basically, at this point. Basically, hunt and scout at the same time. I've tried doing it. I've been unsuccessful, but I know it's a good way to basically find out what the birds are doing. If you have the available time, go out, hunt in the morning, just kind of meander around or just wait, see what's happening in the morning, and then kind of meander around, follow deer trails, follow whatever trail you can find possibly. And if you did just get a fresh rain, see if you can't find some turkey tracks or spots where they're scratching. And I can't say I haven't done it, but I'd set up some trail cameras so I can see what's coming in and if there's deer coming in or if it's turkeys coming in. And that was one reason where I set up where I did this spring was I had my trail cameras out all winter long here in Minnesota, which is not very good for them in the cold weather. But I had the property I was hunting, the owner was having some issues with trespassers and asked me to keep them out, and it just worked to my advantage. I was like, okay, I'm seeing birds coming in this day, that day, whatnot, random times, whatever. So I'm like, well, I'm basically deer hunting these turkeys. I know they're coming in, so it makes sense to sit here. So, and where if I was going to my buddy's farm, I would probably take some time. Well, during season, I'd bring my bow with, try to sit back and see where they're at. And if I can maybe do a spot and stock, do a spot and stock. But if I can't, maybe just plan for something the next day. But yeah, keep grinding, do some scouting, hunt them like deer, basically, if you can. And hopefully maybe they'll start talking and just really get coming into those calls.
Yeah, awesome advice.
I'm riding my
With
car.
that in mind, we're going to wrap up this week. I do want to touch on one other thing. One of our captains 7 days ago today lost their house to a house fire. Mr. Sean Hagen, him and his wife and their family lost everything, total loss. They've never asked to share this or anything like that. But on the screen right now is Sean's wife's Venmo. It's the way that they're accepting donations. They haven't created a GoFundMe. They haven't asked for us to do this, but Sean was gracious enough to take the time to help out with being a captain this year. So if you feel it in your heart or anything like that to help them out in this time, the Venmo is the way to do it. But as far as from everybody here at the league, Sean, your family's in our thoughts and prayers. Hopefully you guys can get back on your feet and in the swing of things as quickly as possible.
Agreed.
Yeah. Horrible situation to have to go through. Total house loss to a fire. But on that note, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for coming out again. We keep doing this every week, and we keep having more and more fun doing it. So hopefully we'll see y'all next week. Once again, from Bow Hunting League, my name is Lance DeYoung. This has been episode 3. Talk turkey to me. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you.